Welcome to MSP lecture series on the chemistry of main group elements. In my last lecture, I was discussing about valence shell electron pair repulsion theory and its utility in determining the geometry and shapes of main group compounds. And there we came across an important term called steric number. Steric number is nothing but the number of bonded atoms plus number of lone pairs. Number of bonded atoms means when the central atom makes a bond with a peripheral atom, essentially 2 electrons are utilized. So, that is essentially bonded pair. So, steric number is nothing but the number of bonded pairs plus number of lone pairs together. And also we came across steric number varying from 2 to 6, and I discussed examples in each case. What you should remember while using VSEPR theory is the steric number that determines the geometry. Whatever the steric number is there, so that would essentially show the right geometry. For example, when you have steric number 2 and if both are bonded pairs, it has linear geometry, and with steric number 3 all are bonded pairs, the geometry is trigonal planar and shape also trigonal planar, and steric number 4 tetrahedral, steric number 5 trigonal bipyramidal, steric number 6 octahedral, and for steric number 7 the geometry is pentagonal bipyramidal. And also we came across examples having both bonded pairs and lone pairs. For example, steric number 4 having 4 bonded pairs is tetrahedral, like example methane. Steric number 4 with 2 bonded pair and lone pair, example is water molecules, where we have 2 OH bonds and 2 lone pairs. The shape is V shape. So, like that we discussed in most of the cases. So, while determining the geometry, consider the steric number. While determining the shape, omit the lone pairs. So far we discussed steric number 2 to 6, and I wrote the using VSEPR theory. I wrote the structure and showed you for most of the steric numbers with a lot of examples. As we progress with the chemistry of main group elements, whenever we come across examples, certainly I would go back to VSEPR theory or even Lewis dot structure, and the next one I am going to discuss is valence bond theory as well as molecular orbital theory. With this, let me tell you something about the limitations of VSEPR theory. That means although VSEPR theory or VSEPR model, that is valence shell electron pair repulsion model, is quite successful in predicting the molecular geometries of main group compounds and shape as well, but it fails to predict the shapes of isoelectronic species and also those of transmetal compounds. Another important limitation of VSEPR theory is it does not consider the relative sizes of the substituents and the stereochemically inactive lone pairs that we come across often in the case of transmetal complexes, where especially electrons in T2G are remain intact, especially with pure sigma donor ligands. So, as a result, VSEPR theory cannot be applied to heavy D block compounds. So, in that context, another theory came into picture, that is called valence bond theory. Valence bond theory uses the concept of hybridization of atomic orbitals prior to the bond formation. So, a covalent bond forms when orbitals of 2 atoms overlap, and the overlap region which is between the nuclei is occupied by pair of electrons in making a covalent bond. So, let us look into the theme of valence bond theory. The space generated due to the overlapping of orbitals has a maximum capacity of accommodating 2 electrons with opposite spin. That means, when 2 orbitals are overlapping from 2 different atoms, essentially that leads to the formation of a bond, and that is capable of accommodating only 2 electrons of opposite spins. If the overlapping is greater, the bond formed is stronger and more stable, but bond strength also depends on attraction of the nuclei for the shared electrons. When 2 atoms combine to form a covalent bond, the valence orbitals present in each atom overlap to form new hybrid orbitals with totally different shape from the original s, p, d or f orbitals from which they are essentially made up of. That means hybrid orbitals essentially have a different shape compared to the original orbitals from which we have constituted them. So, this hybridization concept was developed by Linus Pauling in 1931, and he was awarded Nobel Prize in 1954 for this scientific contribution, and again he was awarded another Nobel Prize in 1962. It is not for chemistry, but it is for his peace activities, and he is one of the 4 individuals to have won more than 1 Nobel Prizes. So, other 3 people are Marie Curie won Nobel Prize in 1903 for physics and again in 1911 for chemistry, and then John Bardeen, he won in 1956 for transistors and in 1972 for superconductivity. Of course, he shared Nobel Prize in both the instances. And the 4th person who got 2 Nobel Prizes is Frederick Sanger. He got Nobel Prize in 1958 for structure of proteins, and he shared that one with others, and also in 1980 for sequences in nucleic acid, that also he shared with others. So, as I said, chemist Linus Pauling is responsible for the development of hybridization concept, and he put forward his theory in 1931 in order to explain the structure of a simple molecule such as methane using atomic orbitals of both carbon as well as hydrogen. So, Pauling pointed out that a carbon atom forms 4 bonds by using 1 s and 3 p orbitals, so that it might be inferred that a carbon atom would have 3 bonds at right angle to each other. If you just look into the mutual orientation of px, py, pz, they are at orthogonal to each other. So, these 3 when combined with 3 hydrogen atoms, they form angles at right angle to each other, and then the 4th weaker bond is by using the s orbital of carbon with again 1s orbital of hydrogen having positioned at some arbitrary direction. However, methane has 4 bonds of equivalent strength separated by a tetrahedral bond angles of 109.5. So, Pauling explained this by supposing that in the presence of 4 hydrogen atoms, the s and p orbitals from carbon would combine together to form 4 equivalent bonds, each one having 25% s character and 75% p character, and they are indicated with a term called sp3. That means sp3 indicates the composition of s and p in it in 1:3, which are directed along the 4 CH bonds towards the 4 corners of a tetrahedron with having angles of 109.5 degree. So, this concept was essentially developed for such a simple system, was later applied more widely, and even today it is considered as an effective method for determining the structure and looking into the mixing of various orbital. In fact, this only gave much more input into the well defined theory, that is molecular orbital theory. Even in molecular orbital theory, especially in case of coordination compounds, when we talk about LGO, ligand group orbitals, or in case of main group as well as transmetal complexes, we call symmetry adapted linear combination of atomic orbitals. Essentially, we are taking hint from valence bond theory, that is hybridization concept. So, let us know little bit more about this hybridization concept. Number of hybrid orbital formed is equal to number of atomic orbital mixed. For example, in carbon, 1 s orbital and 3 p orbital, that is 4 orbital are mixing together to make 4 hybrid orbitals. The type of hybrid orbital formed depends on the types of atomic orbital mixed, and many types of hybridization are known. The most common type of hybridization observed among main group compounds are essentially sp for linear, sp2 for trigonal planar, sp3 for tetrahedral, sp3d for trigonal bipyramidal, sp3d2 for octahedral, and sp3d3 for pentagonal bipyramidal geometries. So, I have listed some hybridization schemes that are used in various examples. Here most of the examples I have given are from the coordination compounds. However, as and when I come across such molecules while discussing main group chemistry, I would use valence bond theory to explain their bonding. So, here for linear one can use sp, in case of trigonal planar sp2, tetrahedral it is sp3, and tetrahedral it is sp3, and square based pyramidal rarely we come across among main group elements sp3d, and trigonal prismatic we have two options, pentagonal bipyramidal we have one option, in case of octahedral only in case of coordination compounds we have two options, that is sp3d2 as well as d2sp3, and when it is sp3d2 we call it as outer orbital complex, in case of d2sp3 we call it inner orbital complex or low spin complex. The outer orbital complex are also known as high spin complexes. So, we have pentagonal bipyramidal geometry sp3d2 and monocapped trigonal prismatic geometry sp3d3, and we have cubic geometry and also dodecahedral geometry and square anti-prismatic geometry and tri-capped trigonal prismatic geometry. So, the most of the hybridization we come across. Besides this, we also have interesting hybridization concepts such as SD3 and all those things. They come exclusive in coordination compounds. Probably if I happen to give another lecture series on coordination compounds and organometallic compounds, I will be elaborating all these things in more detail. And prior to utilizing this hybridization concept, we should be familiar with the shape and orientation of the orbitals that we are using in hybridization. S is spherically symmetrical, and we know the relative orientation of px, py and pz orbitals I have shown in their axes, assuming the vertical axis is y axis here. Also I have shown here 5d orbitals, they are dxy, dyz, dxz, dx square minus y square and dz square. In a bond involving p, d and f orbitals, the orbitals will be oriented in a direction that maximizes the overlapping. One should remember this one. I repeat again, in a bond involving p, d and f orbitals, the orbitals will be oriented in a direction that maximizes the overlapping. If oriented in a direction does not maximize the overlap, the bond will be weaker. That means, again repeat again, if oriented in a direction that does not maximize the overlap, the bond will be weaker. So, just to show the difference between VSEPR theory and valence bond theory, I have given two examples. The examples I have shown here to compare and see the difference between VSEPR theory and VBT is ammonia, the pyramidal molecule. You can see this is trigonal planar geometry that can be seen from VSEPR theory, with lone pair is occupying the fourth position, whereas the same one can draw using valence bond theory hybridization concept. That means, in case of nitrogen, what happens, one nitrogen s orbital and 3p orbital will combine together to form 4 sp3. Out of that one, 3 sp3 orbitals will be having 1 electron each, whereas 1 sp3 we have 2 electrons. That is responsible for making ammonia as a Lewis base. This is how one can visualize and also understand the difference between VSEPR as well as VBT. Okay, so let us look into the formation of as simple as H2 molecule. So, 1s1 orbital of 2 hydrogen atoms combine together to form hydrogen molecule. And hydrogen fluoride, in this case what happens, 1s1 orbital of hydrogen with one of the 2p orbital. That means essentially if you just look into the fluorine, we have the electronic configuration of fluorine is, of course in case of H, we have 1s1 electronic configuration. In case of fluorine, what we have is 1s2, 2s2 and 2p5. One electron combines with this 1s orbital of hydrogen to form this hydrogen fluoride. This is 2p and this is 1s. So, this is how well, here one can explain using, this is very simple. Probably we can go to little bit more complicated examples and see how hybridization happens and how they are disposed towards various positions in various geometries. Now, this is about formation of fluorine. In case of formation of fluorine molecule, basically what happens? We have one 2p orbital having one electron and another one is there with another. Essentially, these two will overlap in this fashion and these two electrons will be placed here. Okay. And this is how you can explain the formation of F2 molecule. So, this is the 2p orbital and this is 2p orbital. Okay. Of course, a better picture is shown in the slide. Okay. So, let us consider now hybridization concept. To begin with, let us look into sp hybridization. For sp hybridization, let us consider a main group example of alkaline earth metal halide, that is BeCl2, beryllium dichloride. First, what we should do is we should write the hybridization. Before writing the hybridization, we should write the electronic configuration of the central atom. This is 1s2, 2s2. Okay. So, that means essentially this is the valence orbital and we have 2 electrons in s orbital and we do not have any electron in p orbital. So, prior to the formation of BeCl2, this s electron will be promoted to one of the p orbitals, something like this. Now, both of them have one electron. So, they combine together to form 2 sp hybrid orbitals, something like this, having one electron each. So, now we have 2 sp hybrid orbital on beryllium, each one having one electron, and now these will be aligned linearly like this. So, that angle between them is 180 degree. Okay. So, I have not started combining with chlorides, but this is how sp orbitals are oriented in case of beryllium prior to the formation of BeCl2. So, now we have chlorine 3p orbital. Of course, one can write the electronic configuration for chlorine also, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2 and 3p5. So, we have one electron in one of the 3p orbital. So, that is coming here and that will come and orient in this fashion. This is beryllium and one more will come here like this. This is sp, this is sp and this is 3p. So, this would lead to the formation of this beryllium bond. So, this is how using valence bond theory, especially hybridization concept, you should be able to write the structure of beryllium dichloride, that is linear with the angle between BeCl angle being 180 degrees. So, that means sp mixing takes place here. Okay. So, you can visualize that one here. So, 2s and 2p orbital combine together to generate 2 sp hybrid orbitals. Now, these 2 sp orbitals will orient in this fashion prior to the formation of or interacting with 2 chloride ions. Now, 2 chloride ions come here in this fashion and eventually they combine together to form BeCl2. So, this is how you can represent using hybridization concept or valence bond theory the bonding in beryllium dichloride. Okay. Angle is 180 degree. So, let us look into the boron atom. In case of boron atom, this is another way of writing the electronic configuration and showing the hybrid orbitals. For example, if you look into the boron electronic configuration, it is 1s2, 2s2, 2p1. That means we have 3 electrons in its valence shell. So, boron 1s2, 2s2, 2p1. So, this is how electronic configuration is there in the ground state. Prior to the mixing, what happens, this electron is promoted to one of the empty p orbitals. Like this. Now, another p orbital do not have any electron. So, this S will combine with these 2 p orbitals to form 3 sp2 orbitals with 1 electron each. Okay. So, example you can consider Bf3. Now, each sp2 having 1 electron from boron will combine with one of the 2 p orbitals having 1 electron to form 3 Bf bonds. So, and of course, just I am showing you how S and 2 p orbitals are mixing together here to form 3 sp2 orbitals. This is how 3 sp2 orbitals will be oriented with angle between them being 120 degrees. That means it essentially orients in such a fashion to give a trigonal planar geometry. Now, as I mentioned, 2 p orbitals of 3 fluorine atoms will come and interact with 3 sp2 orbitals of boron having 1 electron each to form 3 Bf covalent bonds, and with an angle of 120 degree, that is FBF angles are 120 degrees. Let us look into the structure of water. In water, we have 1 O and 2 H are there, and of course, each S hydrogen has 1s1 electron and 2 electrons are coming. Oxygen electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. Prior to the hybridization, this is how it looks like. 2 electrons here, 2 electrons here, 1 electron here and 1 electron here. So, here when this S and these 3 p orbitals are mixed together, it generates 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals with 2 having 1 electrons and 2 having 2 electrons. These 4 orbitals are disposed towards the 4 corners of a regular tetrahedron. That means, let me write O here. This is 1, this is 1, this is 1 and this is 1. These are all having 1 electron and these 2 are having 2 electrons. So, now this will interact with 1s1 of hydrogen, 1s1 of hydrogen to form OH bonds, and we have these lone pairs. So, here the geometry is again at oxygen is tetrahedral, and the shape of water molecule according to VSEPA theory or valence bond theory, it is bent or V shape. So, this is how you can see or you can visualize the formation of H2O, that is water, by utilizing 4 sp3 orbitals of oxygen, out of which 2 have 2 electron each and they remain as lone pairs, and 2 sp3 having 1 electron each will combine with 1s1 orbital of hydrogen to form 2 OH bonds. So, that you can explain satisfactorily the bonding in water molecule. So, let me stop here. In my next lecture, I will continue with higher hybridization and several more examples. So, thank you very much.